Welcome to UNCAGED. Today we're speaking with Michael Hamilton. Michael is the Chief Executive Officer of Peeva, which is a universally standardized pet tracking system that makes use of RFID tags and medical records to ensure greater safety for pets. We'll be talking about how to protect your pets and how to make sure that they can be tracked and all the data behind it and how that links in with their lives. But before we get into that world, Michael, tell us a little bit about you and your career.
Yeah, so I started this company, then just an idea about 7 years ago. And I had a really good job at the time. But the more that I really looked into the extent of the missing pet problem, I just got it, kind of sucked into it. And then this became a full-time thing and, just became absolutely just obsessed with resolving this problem, developing our technology, which we did 3 separate times. And then, by the time, I eventually just got fully committed to it. I kind of initially looked at it as kind of a way, like when people have houses built, they'll, just find some land, they'll hire an architect, approve some designs. And, next thing you know, they're just approving like window treatments. Starting a company, especially a SaaS business in this environment, it's just nothing like building a house. The analogy basically stops there. Actually, this is probably, I will argue, the most interesting thing you'll probably hear on your podcast. And that's the analogy between startups and indie rock bands. Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So most of them aren't really original. Most of them are comprised of a team of people that really don't know anything else to do with their lives. And most of them aren't really creating anything new. And they're all kind of just sitting back. Whereas a rock band will send out a demo tape to whatever label that may sign them. A lot of these startups are just kind of sending out, pitch decks and business plans to whatever private equity. So the bottom line is, everything that I put my name on, I just really get involved in. I mean, I actually dropped out of law school at one point to actually go tour with the rock band. I'm just kind of like one of those guys. So, by analogy, every like indie band that I've been in, we actually would like sell our records, go on tour for months at a time and build up an organic following. So when I started a business, I just really looked at it the same exact way, right? I mean, every investor initially that I was talking to just thought, Peeva was just absolutely just overly ambitious, a little impossible. There were questions over, based on that description you just read, what are we, a hardware company, an EMR? Are we a pet recovery database? So, just kind of taking all these different blocks and putting them together in one cohesive way. That's how you wind up just getting, pulled into it full time, especially when you're absolutely passionate about resolving it.
Well, I love it. And I love the analogy of the indie bands. But tell me more about your indie band in a way, your business indie band, Peeva. Tell me a little bit more about how it works and all the elements of it.
Yeah. So like I said before, the pet problem, regardless of whatever facts and figures you're looking at, it's broadly recognized as a problem. We've all seen those commercials with Sarah McLachlan that are just ruin your whole entire day. But the bottom line is, Americans love pets. We all love our pets. We spend billions of dollars on ways to secure them every year. But the pet problem just remains a huge epidemic. And why is that, right? I mean, there have been numerous technologies that have been developed, marketed, and sold to pet owners over the past, of course, literally the past 30 years when microchipping was introduced. And microchips are the only permanent form of ID a pet will ever have. They'll also work 100% of the time if scanned and properly registered. So they're the best possible way to ensure your pet will be brought back to you if it ever goes missing. And the bottom line is, if microchip scanning was part of the standard operating procedure for anybody involved in a profession that involves working with other people's pets, the pet problem could be reduced to a very manageable problem. So that's what Peeva set out to do. Initially, basically, one day, well, I'll even rewind further back. When I was a little kid, my dog was stolen. We never got him we just never got him back. It was just awful, right? So fast forward, when I got Peeva, I registered her microchip right away. And then I had to take her to emergency care one time at another hospital. And when I was there, I noticed that they didn't scan her for a microchip. So when I asked why, I was basically told that I don't look like somebody that would steal a dog, which I didn't think was really such a great answer. And then I just really looked into the technology, and I found out that there's no standardization between all these different, microchip companies. So we developed a scanner that can read all brands of microchips. And the next challenge was implementation, like how to get vets and shelters on board to actually use our hardware without just being yet another microchip company. So businesses of all types, they either want two things, right? Which are basically the same thing. They want to either make money or they want to save money, which is essentially the same thing. So by streamlining workflow, eliminating like redundant costs, bringing them into the modern world, basically we pair literally millions of microchip IDs with their respective pet medical records. So any vet in our network can scan a pet, regardless of the microchip it has, pull up its complete life history, and that saves them time. So they can spend, less time diagnosing, more time treating, can also ultimately lower the cost of care. And then we also really make a really good, business case for our veterinary partners. Essentially being a newcomer to the industry, we got to obviously bend over backwards to take down this, this top-down business development approach, which we can talk about, because that's how we got to scale. But with this critical mass of data, you can save vets time and money. And then also to offset that, they scan every pet that comes into their office for a microchip. And every pet that doesn't have a microchip, pet owners are sold on the value of microchipping, specifically with Peeva, our centralized database.
I love it. And it makes so much sense. And, I hear so many stories about people that have had kind of the same issues that they have with parents and, human medical issues, with pets, same thing, oh, didn't realize this or that about their medical record. So it completely makes sense. But tell me a little bit, Michael, about kind of where we are in general on this stuff. Are we kind of at critical mass now with people in some ways tracking this type of stuff for pets, or where are we on the life cycle of this one?
That's an excellent question. First, let's rewind a little bit back about because I want to bring up three interesting points. Okay, so when it comes to kids and your parents and stuff, people that might want to know. Peeva is not a GPS device. We are going to start selling collars, but again, like I said, anything that's attached to a collar can fall off or be taken off. Peeva is RFID, and there really is no point of ever chipping a human with a Peeva microchip, because I've read tweets about myself and, Mark of the Beast and, tons of shit that people fear and say. So first off, Peeva chips, they're not GPS devices. Second of all, there's no point to ever chip a human, because what a microchip is, it's just a unique string of digits where, you use that as a unique identifier. If you can do that, you can do that with obviously biometric fingerprint scanning, right? It's been around for, since 2008 or 2007.
Right. Or the stuff that you see at the airport with clear with the eyeballs and all that type of stuff.
Right. Right. So obviously dogs don't have fingerprints. So chips right now are the way to go. Now the second point I want to bring up is the future of pet care. A GPS device will be the end all be all once it's small enough to be implanted. But right now it's about the size of literally maybe like an Apple AirTag. That's the smallest you can get, maybe just a little smaller than that. And that's much too large to implant into an elephant, let alone a kitten, right? And it would also require a power source to be activated. Now there's this company out in Korea that developed repowering of devices as such through kinetic energy, like moving your arms and things like that. But that is so far off in the future. So until now, the future, the best solution to get your pet back is microchipping, provided it's registered in a database that's actively searched with the team of telephone support. I can also sell you on all Peeva's advantages there, but also, the data problem. Not only are so many vet hospitals still very paper-based and even fax, there's all these different EMRs and shelter management systems, literally hundreds of applications. Everything's offline, nothing shakes hands. So, people outside of tech don't like learning new technology. So what Peeva does is we provide like data conversion services so we can universally display the system in a menu-driven system that's very easy. I mean, my 5-year-old can navigate through it. And by design, I mean, even everything down to the color scheme, it's just a very familiar interface. So to have something scale on two fronts, it has to have a lot of value to the end user, which is going to be the veterinarian. They're making money, we're making money. And also, just saving everybody time by pulling in these large fragmented data sets, just universally display this information. It's a very, very basic idea.
Does it work so that the vets actually act as kind of promoters and, I don't know, almost like resellers?
Absolutely. That's 100% what they were doing. We chipped our first pet at the end of 2018. And we took a top-down business development approach, right, with this large group of hospitals. And they, part of our marketing stipulations, each managing DVM at those hospitals with everyone we would onboard, they would send out 2 emails. One is to pet owners that already have their pets chipped, go confirm your free account. The other ones, come in, get your pet chipped with Peeva, and they're scanning all these pets. So obviously, after they scan every pet, they're essentially doing sales for us. So that really put us in a very comfortable position where I didn't have to really pay any attention to any social media whatsoever. And then, like everything else, COVID hit and it nearly killed my business in 2020. So we did the obvious thing and started offering registrations online. And in doing so, that's when, we started paying a lot of money for our Bing and Google pay-per-click ads and scaling that way. And then now are finally understanding the importance of social for both the B2B and the B2C. And the B2B, I think, Qnary, for example, has a lot of value in that regard for busy CEOs. And I would love to tell you how I discovered your business if you're very interested. But that's super important to not just be a guy. I guess I probably should have dressed up for this podcast.
Oh, no, of course not. Of course not. But I mean, I think it's really a fascinating thing. And I just wanted to loop back when someone gets a new pet now and they go to the vet for the first time and they go through the litany of questions and steps that you have to do to make sure you're a good pet owner. Are we at the point now that the RFID thing is just like something that pet owners are like, absolutely done? Where are we on the cycle of this one?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially with our, because we incentivize our vet partners. I mean, it seems kind of like a sale. I mean, look, despite all the cool things we're doing, like lost pet alerts and, the pet medical records and, the additional features and functions that we have to be competitive, pet owners ultimately just want their pets back if they go missing. And, Peeva, I like to say we're not reinventing the wheel with anything that we're doing. It's more like fixing a flat tire. I mean, we're taking what could work and making it actually work. I mean, this isn't any pie in the sky, like new technology that nobody needs. It's just no, it's literally, we're just taking this and making it actually work. I mean,
but I mean, what I've found over really pretty much almost any major innovation over the last 10 years is that there'll be these macro steps forward in technology, but the purpose-built solutions that utilize that technology that actually work for customers are really the things that kind of make it magical and make it pop. And that sounds to me where Peeva has played and where you're growing. But I mean, Michael, you've built this thing. It's amazing. Congratulations. Never easy to get something like this going and up to this stage. But tell me a little bit about the passion for it. Are you, a pet lover, or where does the passion for this whole thing come from?
Like literally, like when I was a little kid, just getting my dog taken from me. Like that was like literally the first time I ever experienced anything. Like that was before even my grandparents died. That was before my heart was ever broken. That was before ever being terminated or cut from a baseball team or anything like that. I was just at such this impressionable age. And, it just really, really affected me. So it's just like, then you learn that the technology exists. Like, why isn't it part of the standard? So like, it's just like, shit, man, I can make that happen.
Yeah.
Kind of, obviously I'm not a systems engineer. I am not an electrical engineer or anything like that, but I guess I'll learn enough about a problem to kind of entertain a solution, and then surround myself with, I guess, builders. I'm more of a facility.
Yeah, I mean, look, as I was saying before, I've looked at the scanner space for years, and I remember sitting down with an editor of Wired magazine once, and he was telling me, like, look, the reality is that most of these scanners that we're using to track things today have been around. That tech has been around for decades. And it's really now just getting to the point where we see commercialization happen in a meaningful way. And certainly, I think you guys are on an amazing path here with Peeva, and this is a very needed thing for all pet owners. But, when you look forward, Michael, you've mentioned a couple of things that might be on the horizon for you guys. What does the near future look like for Peeva?
Yeah. Oh, we are going to update all our records in real time. Right now, there is a sync delay. When we're backing up all this data. That's the first thing. And that's going to have a huge impact, because we're going to actually begin offering disaster recovery services for all our veterinary partners and shelter friends as well. We tend to really get this large critical mass of data to be able to analyze different health trends. That's going to be extremely valuable, as well as, missing pet stats, that reoccurring debate between whoever's putting these studies out. I could have actually sold my company already. I just don't have any interest in doing that. In retrospect, I'm really glad I didn't do it. Would have been easier to do it. But, again, it's just absolutely ridiculous how many families are affected by somebody selfish stealing their animal. And it's just like quite frankly, I don't think it should have taken me this long. And honestly, I really didn't think it would be. It would have taken me this long. Again, I thought I really enjoyed my job that I had before I started this, and then I got sucked into it. And now I'm making a lot of money, so I'm gonna obviously continue doing it.
Yeah, and those types of arcs are normal, trying to balance out what you were doing before you push into something like this and make it happen. But it's now scaling and it's working. And congratulations to you. Congratulations for making the indie band more than it was and pushing it to the next level. If someone wanted to learn more about Peeva and what you and the team are up to, where's the best place to find information?
That's very interesting that you make that, or you're asking that. It's actually a whole other headache, but our website is peeva.co. Our Instagram is either Peeva Pets or My Pet Peeva. I forgot. I don't really touch that. Our Facebook, we have 2 Facebook pages, but actually Peeva is optimized enough by keyword at this point that you can just put Peeva or even its misspelling into a browser and you're going to come across our website.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. And then right now we have, an agency basically redeveloping our whole site. And then we have another branding woman out in Paris that's doing a whole brand overhaul. And
Wow.
we just hired 3 additional UX guys just to make the front end experience that much better. You know, part of my passion is why Peeva has been so successful. You know, I work every single day, and basically every dollar that I take in goes back into the company, essentially, right? And it's all about scale, right? So, you know, if people ever have any question, I gotta definitely start watching more of your podcasts, but I would highly doubt that I'm the only entrepreneur that's crazy enough who got, you know, kind of used to being broke before, you know, because if you don't do that, then you're gonna just kind of spend all your money, right?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. There's kind of a split view on that topic. I share your take on this as someone who, you know, started something from nothing and grew it. You know, you kind of think about yourself last ultimately, because you're trying to just build, right? But
Right.
there's also a school of thought. A lot of successful entrepreneurs say you got to think about yourself first, because if you're not okay, then the business will fall apart. And I think it's probably a happy medium, honestly, somewhere in between those two.
I'm not as crazy as everybody else. I mean, I obviously, you know, paid interns and had, you know, attorneys look at search for patents and put out all different kinds of survey data, you know, really looked at the numbers before I got pulled in full time. I mean, this wasn't completely naive. I didn't just I'm not that crazy. I am somewhat practical, but
well, listen, congratulations on the Peeva story and the Peeva arc to date. I'm excited to see how things develop in the near future. And thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today. We've been speaking with Michael Hamilton. He is the CEO at Peeva, which is a universally standardized pet tracking system that makes use of RFID tags and medical records to ensure greater safety for pets. Been talking about how that business has grown dramatically over the last couple of years, weathered some storms during COVID and popped back out, and really kind of the critical need for this type of technology and taking really, I'd say, existing tech, but making it make sense for the end users, for the people that are part of that ecosystem, and then pushing it to the next level. So Michael, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today, and we look forward to having you back.
All right. Thank you very much.